Señores delegados, que aprueben el proyecto contenido en el documento AC1 L172, se servirán expresarlo levantando la mano. En contra. Abstenciones. El resultado de la votación es el siguiente: 76 votos a favor, ninguno en contra y 2 abstenciones. El proyecto de la India ha sido aprobado.
Mr. Chairman, we have now come to the discussion of the last item in our agenda, that is a question of West Irian or West New Guinea. I would like to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me the floor as the first speaker on this item, my country being one of the two parties, the other party being the Netherlands, in this political dispute over the most eastern part of my country. We have brought this item, this dispute, before this international body under the provisions of the Charter. And it is only natural that the only thing one can seek here is a peaceful solution, or at least the way or means to a peaceful solution of a problem. That is precisely what the sponsoring Asian and African nations, and in particular my government, are seeking with respect to this long outstanding political dispute between Indonesia and the Netherlands, which for the past 6 years has poisoned the relationship between the two countries. Mr. Chairman, another Dutch argument is based on their sudden interest in the self-determination of the people of West Irian. This may sound very well, but it is misleading and paradoxical. Certainly, it is a very belated discovery of intent of the Netherlands government. In the past, that government never had any genuine interest in the self-determination of the Indonesian people. If it genuinely had shown such interest, then there would have been no revolution and war against the Netherlands to achieve Indonesia's freedom after the proclamation of independence in 1945, when the whole Indonesian people exercised their rights of self-determination. It was as early as 1945, after the end of World War II, that the whole people and nation of Indonesia, whose unity and nationhood the Dutch themselves recognized as a product of common existence under the Netherlands crown, and which naturally included the people of West Irian, exercised their right of self-determination. Therefore, to suggest now, only now, that the people of West Irian should have the opportunity to exercise the right of self-determination means, in effect, to withhold that proclaimed and hard-won freedom and independence from the people of West Irian. It is consequently nothing less than a device to maintain colonialism in West Irian, whose people should long have been enjoying freedom in the independent and sovereign Republic of Indonesia. Mr. Chairman, that the free people of West Irian are still being held in colonial bondage is a fact which has all the inherent and typical characteristics of colonial oppression and suppression necessary to maintain it. At this time, I do not want to describe in detail the colonial conditions under which the people of West Irian have to live. All the typical features of colonial rule and imposition are to be found in West Irian. The lack of political freedom, the inequalities and discrimination between the indigenous population of the Dutch, the policy of divide and rule, the lack of real progress in the field of education, health, and general social welfare, the prisons and concentration camps overflowing with political prisoners or so-called terrorists, the oppressive measures, the disturbances, some even very recent, in which people are shot and killed, and so forth and so forth. It is not my intention, however, to enumerate in detail this unhappy and indeed shocking situation, although I could quote some revealing excerpts from many eyewitness reports from both ex-prisoners and from Western correspondents who have visited West Irian. In fact, even the Dutch parliamentary mission to West Irian could not in its report conceal the very unsatisfactory conditions, indeed the typical colonial conditions in the territory. But this is not my delegation's intention to make our considerations of this item acrimonious. The relationship between Indonesia and the Netherlands is already unsatisfactory enough, and we have not come here to make it worse. We have come to this World Organization to seek the peaceful means for a solution of this international dispute, which the two interested parties have not been able to resolve through direct bilateral negotiations. This is, I believe, the only right thing to do, so long as people desire a peaceful solution of international disputes. Next. Mr. Chairman, the question of West Irian boils down to the following. First, is the Netherlands justified in maintaining an imposed colonial rule over part of a free independent country with which they have agreed to establish a new relationship on the basis of freedom, equality, and independence? Second, is the Netherlands justified in withholding freedom from a part of Indonesia for whose nationhood and unity they themselves claim credit? Third, is the Netherlands justified in dividing forcibly and unilaterally a country into a free part and a colonial part, while at the same time claiming credit for its unity as a political entity? Fourth, is the Netherlands justified in violating forcibly and unilaterally the recognized and established boundaries and sovereignty of a country merely to satisfy colonial pride and prestige? In this context, Mr. Chairman, my Latin American friends certainly will easily be reminded of the principle of uti possidetis. Fifth, last but not least, is the Netherlands justified in leaving unsolved a problem which not only is anachronistic, illogical, and unrealistic, but also poisons the relationship between the Netherlands and Indonesia, and indeed the relationship of Asia and Africa and the West. 8. Mr. Chairman, formal recognition and transfer of complete sovereignty over Indonesia, unconditionally and irrevocably, took place on 27 December 1948. And today, West Irian is a province in the Republic of Indonesia, with representatives in the elected parliament and constituent assembly. So it should be clear that the answer to the previous 5 questions can only be no, legally, constitutionally, as well as politically. And if we look hard at the march of events in the world today, at the lessons of past history and at recent happenings in this stormy world, such a policy is dangerous and even self-defeating. Principles and purposes of the United Nations in the basic right of freedom and equality